Now let's move into our retouching unit, starting with the removal of blemishes using the healing brush and patch tools. So you're going to get this picture of Todd for healing and patch tools.jpg. Okay, this should be in the practice pics for students folder, and Todd has graciously allowed us to use his face for this unit. Alright, so this is a point at which I should mention that we want to be ethical with our choices. And we're not trying to make the person into somebody else, okay? We're going to be subtle, and we're not trying to make the person into something he's not, okay? So we're trying to enhance the portrait. We're not trying to call attention to the changes. Obviously, we're getting into an area where people think of Photoshop as an evil tool, and in fact the word Photoshop has become a verb. That looks photoshopped, they say. All right, so be very mindful about the ethical minefield that you enter when you start to retouch photos. You want to be pretty conservative with your retouching. Okay? Alright, so let's make sure he is full screen or in the full canvas area. Command 0. Alright, and what you're going to see over here are some tools. If you click the letter S, it goes to this tool. This is the clone stamp tool. Alright, and that's letter S is the keyboard shortcut. Let's zoom in on his face. Okay, pretty tight. What you're going to do is you're going to click Option, and then you're going to hold on Option. You see that changes. And you're going to identify a source area. We're just going to practice here to show you what this tool does. Okay, so hold down Option and just click once on that source area. Okay, let's make the brush bigger by doing the bracket keys. Now what you're going to notice is that it has identified the source area, and wherever you go, it's going to bring that eyeball with it. So let's give Todd a third eyeball right here. Okay, so you see there's a crosshairs over there in the original spot where the original eye was. Okay, it's telling us where we're getting this. It's clone stamping, pulling from that spot. Okay, if we were to come down here, we notice that it's going to go in alignment from that spot, and we're down in the cheek area, getting closer to the mouth, right? But you could uncheck this up here. Do you see aligned up here? You could uncheck that, and so wherever you go, it's going to start doing the eyeball. It's going to start over. It's going to stay in that source, the original source area. Okay, so it's getting kind of creepy. I'm going to have nightmares on this. All right. Okay. So remember that it's working from a source area, the clone stamp tool. So let's undo all this by going to the history panel. Of course, you can extend that history panel, remember, pulling from the bottom, and clicking on that snapshot. And we'll undo all of that, what we just did to poor Todd. Now let's go over to the spot healing brush. Go up to this Band-Aid looking tool here. Okay, and you see that there's two healing brushes. We're going to choose the spot healing brush for now, the top one. You see the keyboard shortcut is the letter J on your keyboard. Notice there's three different options here, which will be three options that each of these brushes can do. The content aware is probably the most commonly used. Okay, and it's going to try to heal or bring in information around the choice where you're selecting to heal that area, to cover up that area. The create texture will create texture in the area you're selecting, and then the proximity match, it will actually use the pixels around, and it will try to find an area to use as a patch. Okay, but the content aware is the most commonly used one. Let's zoom in pretty tight in the nose area here and make your brush smaller. Okay, you want to be really subtle with changes, and we're just going to start to work with some of these blemishes here. Okay, and you see that it's starting. You can actually do a little dragging too, but you want to just do little small movements one at a time. Okay, so it's going to take some time. Okay, it's a pretty slow process, right? But let's say you make a mistake. Okay, and let's say we made our brush bigger, we probably shouldn't have, and we do that. Okay, and then we continue. And oh no, that doesn't look quite right. His nose doesn't quite look right. And I've already moved ahead. How can I go back and change that? Well, there actually is a way. I'm going to scoot it over with holding down my space bar. You can grab the lasso tool, letter L. Okay, and you can lasso around that area. Okay, and then you can actually go up to Edits, the Edit menu, Fill, and then you can choose, and it's probably on something else right now, History. Okay, and watch what happens when I click OK. It brings it back. Do you see that there? So I'm going to deselect, Command D. Alright, so you could actually use this even back when we did the custom shape exercise, the first thing we did in Photoshop. And so you don't necessarily have to use the history panel. If there are things you've done since the mistake, you can use that Edit, Fill, History option. Alright, let's go back to J and then make our brush smaller with the bracket keys. And you can continue to do this. Cleaning up this area, okay? But you want to be very subtle. Okay, so if there's kind of a big area you want to work with, panning around here. Okay, so we see some dry skin here, let's say. Then you might want to do several strokes from different angles to repair that. Okay. Okay, so let's say you want to repair a more challenging area, like this inflammation down here. Okay, and you want to use the other brush. Let's switch over to it now, the healing brush. Okay, so this is another clone stamp type tool, and that you're going to find a source area. This area looks pretty good. You're going to click Option, okay, and then you're going to start to use this area here. And you see that the crosshairs are appearing in my source area, okay, and you're going to use that as the source area to repair this area. So it's a clone stamping tool basically, though it is combining a little bit with the area under. It's not a true clone stamp in that it is blending a little bit with the original, okay, but it is healing that. Oh, I don't like that one. I'm going to undo that. Okay, and you might want to just do kind of smaller strokes to blend that. And in fact, what professionals tend to do is they'll actually do very small strokes and they'll combine it. They won't just, oops. So you're clicking Option every time you're grabbing a new source area. Okay. Okay, so that looks a little better. Okay, I see this area there. So I'm going to click over there to get a source area and then blend it there. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the spot healing brush. Okay, and I'm going to come up here and work some more on the nose there. Okay, so you might see a few stray hairs, and you can make your brush smaller to see if that will remove that hair, and it will. Okay, so we all have those types of hairs as we get older, and we know you younger people can see that hair. It's too bad we can't see it as well, so it doesn't bother us. At least not as much as it bothers you, because you have much better eyesight than we do. We often don't realize that we have such poor eyesight until later. Anyway, so you can work with the eyebrow hairs a little bit by stroking them with a very small brush. And what we're trying to avoid is the softness. Okay, once it begins to get a little fuzzy, then you might have to switch over to another tool. Okay, so I'm going to remove some of these eyebrows here, and even down into here under the glasses. Okay, you might want to remove those eyebrows, those extra eyebrows. So as you're doing these repairs, it's actually doing the retouching in real time, as literally as you're clicking the brush. So when you remove it, it should be repaired. It should look different. Okay, it's pretty amazing. Let's come out a little bit now. Okay, so I see this little spot here on the jacket. I'm going to zoom in tighter. Let's say I wanted to remove that. You could try to do it that way, but there's a little bit of softness there, so I'm going to undo. Instead, I'm going to switch over to the clone stamp tool by clicking S. Now that's huge. So I'm going to actually bring the brush size smaller. And then remember, you're going to click somewhere else for a source area, option click. Okay, and I'm going to even make it a little smaller. Okay, and then I'm just going to paint over that and get that. Okay. Now you'll notice that we've been working in the background layer. You see here in the layer panel? And so we've been applying these changes directly to the image. And so we're going to save it now as a 01. We're going to add a 01 to the Photoshop document. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to save as Todd Healing Tools, my last name, 01. Okay, I'm not going to save it as JPEG. I'm going to save it as Photoshop so it doesn't compress it. Okay, and you're going to be saving a bunch of these and then sending them to me. Okay, but I'm going to save it as Photoshop, and then right now I will also save it as a JPEG. Okay, save as JPEG if I've asked you to send it to me. So Morris, my last name 01, Todd Healing Tools. Okay, and I know where it's going. Right, it's going to my desktop. Okay, I'm going to bring that down to maybe about 7. 7 or 8. Say 8. Okay, so I have it both as a JPEG saved and as a Photoshop document as 01. Okay, there's more to do on Todd here and maybe in the chin area and on the cheeks. Okay, so play with that some more, and then you'll be sending me that if I've asked for it. Just let me see the results of that. Let's go ahead and brighten Todd's teeth now. Let's zoom in. Okay, we're going to bring this down by scooting it with the space bar. All right, and we're going to grab the lasso tool. So L for lasso, just the regular lasso will do. You're going to hold it down, and you're not going to be super careful because we're going to be grabbing just the yellow portions of the teeth. Okay, that forms a little marquee there. And then we're going to actually be getting the hue saturation adjustments. So if you were to bring down the saturation now, it's going to do that, which is kind of strange, right? So we're going to reset that. See, that's not quite what we want. Instead, we're going to change the master to yellows. This is the color range. Change the color range to yellows and then bring the saturation down. Okay, do you see the difference there? It's a little bit of difference. Alright, but let's go ahead and feather that just in case there are some yellows in the lip area. So remember, you can go over to the mask side and you can feather that. Okay, we'll just feather it a little bit. And remember, you can option click into the layer mask itself and you can see how that is feathering that. Alright. Now, let's use the patch tool to remove some dark areas. Let's go even in tighter. Okay, and so you're seeing some dark areas, especially along the gum line there, right? It might be a good idea to, for now, make that invisible so that we can, make it invisible so we can see that more easily, those areas. Now you have to go back to the background area. This is something that's easy to forget. You have to click that, target it, select the background layer to do this. And we're going to lasso an area that's a little bit darker. Okay, and what we're going to do with that lassoed, we're going to come over to our healing brush tools and choose the patch tool. Okay, and all you have to do right now, source is the area we're healing. So the first selection is the area we're healing. We're going to click and drag that out. We're going to find a white area that we want it to adopt and blend in there. Okay, and it did. Do you see that? Command Z. Okay. See how it's choosing? Like if we put the teeth right there, it would put the teeth right there. We don't want that. So let's try it again. And it blended that in. Now let's do this again. You can just click somewhere else. You'll deselect. We want to remove that yellow there. So I'm going to grab this and maybe choose the area along the tooth there. Okay. I'm going to try that again. There. Choose that white area there. And it is blending a little bit with the original. A true clone stamp, you'd have to use the clone stamp tool, and then it would not blend it. It would just take the, oh, that's too much. So let's try that again. Grab that area. Okay, so that's starting to look soft, but let's bring this back. Okay, and that's actually looking pretty good. Okay, so what we've really been doing so far is whiten the teeth. Okay, removed yellow. Now let's actually brighten the teeth. So let's go Command plus and then hold down space bar to bring the teeth up. I'm going to have to Command minus a little bit. Let's get the lasso tool by clicking L for lasso. Right, and clicking, holding it down, we'll go around the teeth again to grab the teeth, as well as a little bit of the lips. Okay, and this time, let's grab the curves adjustment layer. Okay, so I'm grabbing curves here. Okay, and I'm just going to grab it in the middle, and I'm going to brighten the teeth. All right, you're noticing though that it's brightened the lip as well. That's okay. I'm going to switch over to my brush B. I'm actually going to click D for default, okay, and that'll make sure that the correct colors are in there for painting on a mask, okay, because the mask is selected. All right, and then I'm going to exchange to paint with black, okay, and I'm just adding the lip color back. You may want to make sure you have a soft edged brush, okay. And I did get one of the ones down here, right? So mine is soft edge, despite what that says. Okay, and I'm going to do that, go around here. The soft edge is a good idea because then it won't be such an abrupt change. Okay, kind of like feathering. Of course, you can also add feathering by coming in here, double clicking to bring up properties, right, and then come over to layers, but you have to make sure to select the mask. Then you can feather that, right? And we can dismiss that. Okay, so we come out here. Those teeth are a little bit too intense. Do you see how they've really overdone it on the teeth? Okay, and a way to look at it before and after getting rid of both of these at once is holding down Option and clicking. Okay, hold down Option, bring it back, and boy, those teeth are a little too bright. They're really calling attention to themselves. So I'm going to double click back on the curves adjustment, and I'm going to back down a little bit from it. Okay, because you don't want to overdo it. We tend to do that the first time we make an adjustment. Okay, and that's a little bit better. Alright, so I like that. Todd's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save as O2. Also, changing it to, or just changing it to teeth is another way to do it, but I'm also going to do this O2. Okay, and then, always okay than that one, you might want to go ahead and save as a JPEG. Okay, I'll save it also as a JPEG, just in case you need to send it to me if I've asked for it. Alright, and about maybe 8 or so. Quality 8. Okay.